For those of you who are regular viewers of my channel, you know when I show you the images I capture, I give you some statistics about those images. Well, today I'm going to explain to you what each one of those different exposure settings actually mean. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Yoder, and on my channel I share with you my photography and the adventures I have while I'm capturing my images. And I just thought today would be a good day for me to sit down and kind of explain what those different metrics are that I share with you whenever I'm sharing an image that I've captured. Before we go any further, I would like to invite all of you to subscribe to my channel and join me on this venture. In a couple of weeks, we'll be leaving for Italy, so I'll be sharing with you the eternal city of Rome, Venice, the queen of the Adriatic, the birthplace of the Renaissance, Florence, and then also the Amalfi Coast, otherwise known as the Divine Coast. You're not going to want to miss those episodes. Let's start off with the focal length. Now, the focal length really doesn't have much to do with exposure. It just simply is how much zoom I've actually used. Now, what you do need to know about zoom, however, is the more zoom you use, the less light hits your sensor, and the longer the exposures are going to be. Let's talk about ISO. ISO stands for Interosculating Systemized Apoptosis. Okay, anyhow, let's talk what it really means. ISO is simply a measurement of light sensitivity, either for your camera sensor or if you're using film. Now, if you have a lower ISO setting, your film or your sensor is less sensitive to light, which means you're going to need a longer exposure. But the benefit is that you're going to have more vibrant color. Now, if you set it for a higher ISO, then your camera, sensor, or film is more sensitive to light and you can capture images faster. The downside is that it could introduce more grain into the image. Let's talk about the f-stop. The f-stop is essentially a measurement for a mechanism that's inside of your lens of how small or how wide open the aperture is. It kind of works like the iris of your eye. Now, the lower the f-stop, the larger the opening. Now, this means more light gets to come in and you have faster exposures. But it also means that the area that's in focus is going to be much smaller. If you have a higher f-stop, that means the aperture is really closing down. That does limit the amount of light coming into your camera, which means longer exposures. But particularly when you're using zoom, it gives you a greater depth of focus in your images. The next thing we're going to talk about is the shutter speed. Now, with the shutter speed, that's going to control how long light is allowed to touch the sensor or the film. What you need to know about this is that the faster the shutter speed, the more clear you can get high-speed moving images. But you need a lot of light to be able to do that. With the longer shutter speed, you can get things like motion blur in and do long exposures. But in order to do that, you have to use a tripod. Anytime your shutter speed drops below 1/60th of a second, you're in danger of some type of motion blur from camera shake, either from breathing or even from your heart rate. So, how can you control these settings? Well, you can put your camera into P mode or automatic mode, and that means the camera is going to do its best to adjust all the settings to give you a proper exposure. The one thing that you're in danger of when you do this is that in lower light conditions, it more likely will increase the ISO and give you a little bit more of a grainier image. In T or TR mode, this is where you control the speed of the shutter. Essentially you can set it for fast or slow, and everything else will be in automatic mode. In A mode or aperture mode, this is the mode that I mostly shoot in. That's where I control the size of the aperture and the camera handles all the other settings. In M mode or manual, that means you have complete control of all the exposure settings. The camera will not attempt to compensate in any way. It will take the image as you have set it. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Also, if there is another photographic technique you would like me to cover in an upcoming episode, just leave me a comment below. Take care, and I'll see you all next week.